Hey, welcome back to the channel. I'm stoked that you're here. Today we are talking physical Xbox 360 game price trends. All of the recent game collecting hype is around Xbox 360 physical games. Microsoft announced the closure of their online marketplace, and since then collectors have been scrambling to pick up physical copies of games and prices are skyrocketing. I have absolutely been guilty historically of jumping on these price trends. The FOMO is real. When Nintendo announced the closure of their eShops for the Wii U and 3DS, I went on an absolute tear, all out collecting for the Wii U before prices got under control. And I sort of figured out later that things would return back to close to where they were originally. We're a little over a year out from that closure of the Nintendo eShop, so let's take a quick look at those prices first. We're going to kick things off with Metal Gear Solid Snake Eater 3D on the 3DS. We actually saw prices on Metal Gear Solid Snake Eater rise right up all the way to around 125 USD, right around the peak of the eShop closure announcement, and steadily ever since then we've seen this one on a decline, a huge one actually, all the way down to around $70 for a complete copy. So if you bought this one at its peak, it's already lost about $50 in value since all that panic and FOMO happened around the closure of the Nintendo eShop. Let's take a look at another one, Dragon Ball Fusions on the 3DS. This one did nothing but climb all the way up to that announcement of the eShop closure, and actually this peak sort of happens after, about a month after, all the way into April 2023 is where we're seeing this one peak around $78. A slow and steady decline on this one's price. It's stabled out right around $40 to $45, so we've seen about a loss of $30 on the total value of copies of Dragon Ball Fusions since that peak. Atlas games are always really interesting as they tend to hold their value. Persona Q2 on the 3DS is no different. This one's sort of been holding strong around $60 for quite a while now, and around the announcement of the eShop closure we see it kind of peaking at $65. It does sort of take about a dip of $10 in the months after the eShop closure, but then sort of trends back up near its original price. So, games like this are always going to be sort of holding their value, so yeah, you can expect some things to trend down, but that's not going to be applicable to everything. Alright, we're going to move over to the Wii U as those shops close at exactly the same time. Zelda Twilight Princess HD, a really great example of another game that sort of held onto its value, but did peak a little bit around the eShop closure announcement for Nintendo, and has sort of been sliding a little bit. $20 difference in that peak, and today copies are going for around $100 complete in box. That is copies of just the game, not the complete bundle like I have here, but the game alone right now is sort of stabled out right around $100 US. An absolutely huge mover was Xenoblade Chronicles. This one was one that, for some reason, everyone was all over around the time that the eShop closed. This one peaked in March 2023 at almost $85 US for a complete in-box copy, and has done nothing but fall since the eShop closure. You can find complete copies of this one today for right around $40. So, I mean, that's a difference of, God, almost $45 on a complete copy of this game. This one has almost halved in value. So if you went after this one at its peak, you've definitely lost about 50% of value on a complete in-box copy of this game. And another pretty consistent mover is this SteamWorld Collection on the Wii U. This one actually peaked about a year before the announcement of the eShop closure, but rose right back up again to around $65 at its peak post eShop closure, and again has done nothing but fall in value ever since that announcement. We see copies at about a peak of $65 falling all the way down to $35, so again a loss of about $25 US for complete copies of this game on the Wii U. So should you jump on the Xbox 360 and buy physical copies now before they continue to grow? I don't think so. While everyone else would have you believing that right now is the time to buy physical copies of Xbox 360 games, prices have already started to somewhat stabilize. Let's take a look at 99 Nights 2 on the Xbox 360. This one has done nothing but skyrocket from about $20 complete in box US all the way to $65 for a complete in box copy. And we can sort of see things right at the end here stabling out just a little bit. And you know, whether or not a game like this is going to come down a little bit in value or not, I still don't think right now is the time to jump on stuff like this, especially when you can still find copies of games like this at pawn shops that are a little slow on updating their prices. So definitely don't run to eBay to buy games like this. They will fall, and even if they don't, hunt right now at local pawn shops and grab up copies of these games while they're still cheap. Another game with a huge climb was Knight's Contract. We actually saw this one increase pretty significantly in value, jumping all the way from around $35 for a complete copy to its peak at about $100 USD for a complete copy of this game. The prices already seem to be falling off slightly for this one. This is going to be an interesting one to keep an eye on to see where values go. They could still move up a little bit before they trend downwards, but we'll have to keep an eye on this one. Alright, and last up is Onichibara Bikini Samurai Squad. This one was a big mover as well. We saw a pretty big jump in value from around $45 for a complete in box copy. This one climbed all the way up to nearly $100 US for a complete in box copy. And just like the others, we're already starting to see a small curve, a small slowdown in the prices rising up on this game. So this is another one that's going to be interesting to keep an eye on to see where values go in the future for this one. Alright, so where are prices headed for the Xbox 360? In my opinion, they're gonna start trending down. The issue with a lot of these games is they were produced in pretty significant quantities, and as the values start to rise, sellers will start to find cheap copies. Sellers will always be trying to undercut each other on eBay for prices just to get their sale out there a little bit faster, so as each new one gets listed, the price will slowly start to drop and drop as sellers undercut each other to try to make fast sales. I really do not think now is the time to catch a terrible case of FOMO and go chasing after expensive Xbox 360 games. Even though they might never return to their former lows, there are definitely going to be a lot of titles that will settle back down over time. So my advice is absolutely wait on physical copies. They will trend downwards and you will be more than happy you did, rather than buying high and watching them lose value. Historically, I've seen a lot of comments talking about how it's weird to see gamers talk about video games like a commodity. This is the reality of game collecting as it stands right now. It's pretty tough to put together a significant collection of games and not be aware of the values of those physical copies. Especially when you're out hunting regularly, looking for stuff to add to your collection and noticing that prices are either starting to rise or starting to fall for specific consoles. I would love to know your thoughts on this topic in the comments section below, so sound off. Let me know, are you going hard on the Xbox 360 and saying, forget it, I'm collecting them now while they're hot? Or are you gonna kind of bunker down and wait and see where things are when the dust settles in the next 6 months to a year on Xbox 360 physical game prices? Sound off in the comment section below. Let me know. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this one. For now, I'm gonna be sitting and waiting. Collection's sitting at around 200 games right now, and so I think I can manage to wait a little longer before I add any more Xbox 360 games to my collection. Thanks so much for all the comments, likes, and subscribes. All that stuff goes a long way in helping my channel grow. I appreciate it, and I'll catch you on the next one.